Yo, 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 yo. Guys, guess what? It's Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. And your boy's back at it again with another video. You dig what I'm saying? If I'm being real, y'all, I just got some new shoes. Check them out. But luckily, I got my content calendar. So if you saw my last video, you know the importance of cataloging. So that's why we're here today. So today, what are we gonna talk about? What y'all wanna talk about, man? Oh, I got an idea. Let's talk about why it doesn't matter who did it first. It's about who did it right. Y'all know that Drake song when he was like, it ain't about who did it first, it's about who did it right. You get me? I like to say, it doesn't matter if you're first. All that matters is that you're the one that they remember. And this message is going out to all of my content creators, all of my entrepreneurs, anyone who is starting a small business from scratch, or anyone who has like an idea that they're working on or whatever. Like, I'm gonna talk to you why it doesn't matter if you're the first person to ever do this idea. It doesn't matter really if you're like in stealth mode, trying to make sure that nobody steals what you're doing, or trying so hard to make sure that nobody copies what you're doing. All that stuff is not as important as you think. And in this video, I wanna explain why very quickly. So oftentimes when I'm working with entrepreneurs, or I have clients or whatever, or any of this kind of stuff, like, they're always worried about somebody else stealing their idea because they think that, you know, their unique insight that they got is gonna change the entire world. And that's dope. And in some cases, in like highly sensitive products, like if you have already the budget and all that stuff built out, like that stuff is important. But in more often than not, feedback is actually beneficial. And on top of that, it's like, you're not the only person with this idea, and that doesn't mean that the idea is valuable. Like, I remember when I was working on projects, like, I would be doing all of this competitive research. I'd be looking at different platforms. Yo, what's up, Tino? I'd be looking at different platforms. I'd be trying to make sure that like the features that we're building, the product that we're building, that, okay, like, what happens if this other company has, or what happens if this person does the same thing, etc., etc., etc. And I would feel discouraged if I would find someone who already had like the product, that idea that like I had. And like the real reason why like that's okay is because companies don't exist in a vacuum, right? Like, there's a market for a reason, right? And so what you need to worry about is not whether or not somebody else is doing the same thing that you're doing. What you need to worry about is finding the unique people who connect with your idea. What you need to focus on is like finding your tribe, your audience, the people who are like going to resonate with the way that you're actually bringing this idea to life, right? So if you're launching an education platform, like, yeah, sure, there are tons of education platforms out there, but what's unique about the audience that you're focusing in on and their unmet needs? What's unique about, you know, the content that you're creating? What's unique about the experience that you're actually designing on the platform that's gonna make a difference, okay? Like, that's what I want you guys to think about, instead of worrying about, yo, I can't tell anybody about this idea because if I tell them they're gonna take it, and then if they take it, then it's done. Like, no, there's actually space in the market for multiple people to actually exist. Like, I use Uber and I use Lyft. If you guys are in cities where they have scooters, like, I use Scoot Kick, I use Spin, I use Lime, I use all of these different apps in conjunction, right? So imagine if you're the person who's launching Lyft or who's launching Lime, and you're tripping off of entering the scooter market because somebody else is already in the market. Like, there's more than one player to go around. That's the first idea. I think the second idea that's really important is feedback is a gift. So this is one of our sayings internally at FB. Feedback is a gift, and everything in tech, in product development, is all about this concept from engineering called a feedback loop. So people are often really scared to tell people about their business ideas, and they think that, you know, because especially if you're a micro influencer, if you're somebody who's like doing things at a small scale, like, it's your baby, right? And so you don't want to get like discouraged. You don't want to feel like you're losing momentum. So you have this incentive around keeping your ideas to yourself. But what you're actually missing out on when you don't share your ideas with people is you're missing out on the feedback, right? And so like when you're sharing your ideas with people, you get a chance to get everyone else's input into the creative process, and then you can choose whether or not to follow that or to not listen to that, right? Like Jim Rohn has this saying where it's like, don't be a follower, be a student, right? But like, I actually encourage people to share their ideas as much as possible, because the more feedback that you can actually get from the marketplace, the better, right? So like, think about like how you can use that feedback to help you to get to where you're actually going. And then it'll also train you in the types of objections, the types of complaints, the types of problems that people kind of see with your product. And you can actually analyze whether or not you think those are valid, right? Like, it's not that like just sharing something in and of itself is going to be something that's discouraging. Like, no, like, share it, get the feedback, get the concept, and then think about, all right, well, does this actually apply? Or maybe they don't understand the nuances behind the situation, and you understand the nuances, and you can use that to your advantage, okay? So that's what I want you guys to think about. Like, how can you take feedback and use that as an asset, right? And then the third thing you need to think about is the fact that like, ideas are dope. Ideas are actually inherently valuable, but ideas are nothing without execution. And this is something that I learned like very early on in my journey, because as you guys know, based off the other video I made a ton of mistakes with my last business. I don't even feel comfortable calling my last business, it was so long ago, and I've had several more since then, but like, you know, I made a ton of mistakes that ultimately caused me to like step away. And you know, on that journey, I think the key lesson that I learned was that your execution is everything. So like, you can have the idea, like I could give you all of the ideas I have in my business journal, like different startups, different products to create, etc. I could actually give those to you, but like, I'm not worried about doing that, because I know that like, if you actually don't understand how to execute on the idea, you know, you don't really have much. Like, ideas are dope, but they're a dime a dozen. So really hone in on like, what does it take to actually bring these ideas to life, which is usually a process of like, you know, development, finding the right people, finding an actual way to get into the market, making sure that you can get the distribution that you need. Like, there are lots of different factors that go into this equation of actually bringing an idea to life, that go beyond just the fact that like, oh, I have this idea and I'm working on it, and shh, don't tell. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a huge thing. Like, execution is where the real money and the real impact is actually made, okay? So like, that's the third thing. And then I had another friend, another homie who kind of hit me up, and they kind of go through that same type of mental process, but you know, with like things like your business name. Like, some people may be worried if like other people have like, oh, I don't want to call my business this because somebody else has already called this, or oh, I don't want to have, you know, I don't know, I don't want to go talk to this person about this idea because somebody else is already doing it. Or like, you know, I helped one client come up with a name for their actual company, and they just kind of got like, I could feel that they got discouraged for a little bit when they were like, oh, I heard that there's other people in the market with a similar sounding name. Like, yeah, okay, well, that's fine, right? But what you have to realize is we're at a stage in the internet and in business where like most things are actually going to have similar names, bro. Like, there's like, I think 8 billion people in the world, and like half of them are on the internet already. So you may find someone who has a name that's similar to what your name is, or is doing something that's similar. But what you need to remember in those moments is like, it's not just the name alone in a vacuum that matters. What actually matters is audience overlap, okay? And what actually also matters is like owning the domain, right? So what you want to think about beyond just naming is you want to think about, who is this product actually going to be for? Who am I making this for? Like, if I'm launching a product that's going to be targeted towards sneakerheads in San Francisco, does it really matter that it has a similar name to a company in Africa that designs women's bridal engagement dresses? Are your customers really going to be looking for, you know, your company and then end up getting redirected to the bridal engagement site, and then they get confused and they'll never be able to take advantage of your product? Is that really what's gonna happen, guys? Probably not, because you're not talking to the same people and your businesses are so wildly different. And so what matters is that you actually have a unique energy to your business and you communicate that. That's what matters. And then what matters beyond that is that you spend your time getting your product in front of the actual right people. Ooh, shoot. Man, welcome to the city, baby. But what actually matters is that you have a unique essence to your product or to your business, and then you can get it in front of the right people. Especially if you're not starting with like a large marketing budget and you're doing things kind of small scale. Like, you have to just focus on making sure you establish that branding within the market that you're targeting, right? Like, start small, start with the people that you're focused on, and what you need to worry about is there audience overlap? Is there somebody who's in the exact same category as me, who's in the exact same sub-niche or industry as me, who has the exact same name or like thinking behind their product, right? So that's what you want to think about. So again, like, I think the point of this video is to kind of remind people that, you know, I get why people are often very overprotective about their business ideas and stuff like that. And in some cases, it's actually very justified. But I think in a lot of cases, you're missing out on feedback. You're missing out on even like recruiting people to join your idea. And you're missing out on like the big picture where it's like, dude, like, you don't need to worry about somebody stealing your idea. What you need to worry about is that you're actually building something that people want to use. What you need to worry about is making sure that you actually have like a unique audience that you're focusing on, and you actually have a unique essence to your product or to your business that draws people in. And focus in on your story, on what makes you unique, and connecting with people on that. And then what you're gonna get is you're gonna get a small amount of early adopters. So if you remember in the last video, we talked about like the law of diffusion of innovation. Start with why, law of diffusion of innovation. Definitely look that up. But what you wanna focus on is like, have something unique, have something that people actually need, focus on getting it out to those early adopters, get that feedback, and those early adopters are gonna kind of start that flywheel of like getting your product distributed and reaching out to the masses and sharing it with people, etc., etc., etc. So that's pretty much the key takeaway of this video, man. And like, I guess like the last thing that you think about as well, like why it's actually important to share your ideas, is because you can dance as you pass things by. No, it's because sharing your ideas is actually it's sales, bro. Like Grant Cardone says, like, you need to get attention. You need to get distribution. And most businesses die because they don't have enough sales, they don't have enough distribution, they don't get enough traction, they're not talking about things enough. So one of my good friends, Caleb, like, he asked me one day, like, how many people did you talk to about your business today? You know, that's one of the metrics that he uses in his sales. When he used to do sales like all day, like, that's one of the things that he talks about. Like, how many people did you talk to your business about? How many times did you put your business out there? How many times did you get attention? How many times did you share things? Because the more you share, instead of thinking in scarcity and thinking, oh, somebody's gonna take this away. No, the more you share, the more opportunities that you actually get to get more distribution, to get your product out there. For me, sharing businesses, even ones that I didn't end up starting, I not only got credibility as a founder, as a consultant, as an entrepreneur, but I also added people to my network because they like what I'm talking about, right? They like what I'm talking about, they like the impact that I'm making, they like all that kind of stuff. So those are the types of things you guys need to think about, man. Like, and I guess this also leads into another video, which is really focused on abundance versus scarcity. And I'll make that a future video, but like, that's the kind of gist of what this is. So for any like creators, man, like, definitely think about that. Definitely think about that. And one bonus tip again that I'll leave you guys with is this is something from Jack Butcher. Follow him on Twitter if you don't. He's a great resource for digital entrepreneurs, for content creators, for marketers, etc. But one key theme that you have to understand about content businesses now is that the medium is the message. So even if you even have like all that stuff that I talked to you guys about was about having a unique essence to your business, but even if you're in a situation where maybe there's not something that's super unique, like the medium itself, like you being a facilitator of the information, that's actually key. So I could be saying in these videos concepts, which they are, these are concepts that I've learned from other people, these aren't my original thoughts, but the way that I package them, the way that I deliver them, the way that I make these videos of just me walking and kind of rambling on, like all of that stuff is going to attract a specific crowd of people who resonate with my delivery, who resonate with what I stand for. And you can have the same exact information, but the medium is the message. You being the arbiter of this information is the actual differentiator. So that's what you guys got to think about when it comes to like content businesses and anything creative. Like the medium is the message. So that's why it's important to put yourself out there again, right? Like get distribution, Talk about it, because people are going to come to you for specific reasons, because they like you. And like when people are making decisions for products they want to buy, like trust is a key determinant, right? Like you want to buy something from someone you trust is going to get you the results that you actually want. And so when you put things out, there are people who are going to be drawn to your message and drawn to your content because they trust you. So even if you're resharing, even if you're reproducing, like that's actually still a value add process, because the way that you can give value to content, or the way that you specifically are going to deliver a product, is going to be valuable for someone. It's going to attract traction in and of itself, right? So think about that. Like, don't worry about people stealing your idea or you not having any original type of work, especially in content and creative businesses. Again, because people want to connect with your specific version of whatever the thing is, all right? So I feel like that I gave y'all 2 bonus tips and 3 core tips. So we got some meat to this content. You see, it wasn't a video about nothing. There was a process to it, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's something that's very helpful. That's something that I've internalized. It's something that's also empowered me to create more freely. It's empowered me to put out more content. It's empowered me to think about, like, how can I just take what I learned yesterday and then reshare it to somebody who would need that information today, right? And I do the same thing when it comes to like thinking about products. Like, how do I take things that like are unresolved needs and then you translate it to something that someone could benefit from? And then also just like focus on like resharing, focus on getting your message out there, focus on your unique essence, like all that type of stuff. So like a recap of the concepts that we talked about today. 1, don't be afraid to share your ideas. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and don't think in terms of scarcity when it comes to people actually stealing your stuff, right? Like, sharing allows you to get feedback. Sharing allows you to recruit people to your cause. And then oftentimes, like, it's not really about the idea as much as it's really about the execution, okay? That's a key thing. And then you want to always be sharing your ideas because it gives you an opportunity to grow your business. It gives you an opportunity to just gain more traction. And the more you talk about the business, the more opportunities that you create. And then at the end of the day, people are going to join you, because of how you package things, because of your specific message, because of whatever it is that makes you unique. And once you get those early adopters, right, that's gonna set off the flywheel that's gonna get the rest of your business going, right? So at the end of the day, that's what you wanna hone in on, right? Like, talk about your ideas, put stuff out there, share content, create more. Like, there are tons of personal training businesses, but if people love you specifically, the energy you bring to your workouts, they'll sign up with you as a personal trainer, right? So I hope this is valuable for anyone who's kind of on the fence about creating more or sharing their ideas. I hope this is valuable for anyone who's kind of still thinking in scarcity terms when it comes to, like, you know, their business, their creating and all that stuff. And yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. As always, own your power, give back, and leave no stone unturned. Black Lotus out.